So, everyone thinks the Apple TV is dead. And honestly, look at your living room. Hard to argue against it. While we've been getting titanium iPhones and MacBooks that defy physics, the Apple TV has been sitting there gathering dust. It is literally running on technology that predates the pandemic. It feels like Apple gave up, let Amazon and Roku win the war for cheap streaming sticks, and walked away. But the silence is a lie. Something massive is happening in the supply chain. We just received a data dump regarding the 2026 model. And if these leaks are accurate, Apple isn't dead. It was just hibernating, waiting for a piece of silicon that didn't exist until now. Here's the leak. First, the timeline. This is the first clue that something is weird. Usually, Apple releases products like clockwork in the fall. They want you to buy them for the holidays. But the leak for the new Apple TV points specifically to spring 2026. This is rare. It aligns with a new software build called tvOS 26.4 found in the backend code. Why delay a product launch to the spring? It tells us one thing. The hardware is ready, but the brain isn't. They are holding this release back because they are waiting for their AI stack to stabilize. Releasing a dumb streaming box in 2026 is business suicide. They know they cannot just ship another Netflix machine. They need to ship a supercomputer for your living room. That brings us to the heart of this thing, the silicon. The reports claim the new unit will be powered by the A17 Pro chip. Yes, the same chip that was in the iPhone 15 Pro. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about how hot that phone got. You're thinking about thermal throttling. But change your perspective for a second. In a phone, that chip is trapped in a tiny glass sandwich with no air. In an Apple TV, you have a thick plastic box, a heat sink, a fan, and unlimited power from the wall. You are unleashing the A17 Pro without any handcuffs. That is a monster move. It changes the device from a streamer into a legitimate gaming contender. We have heard the Apple TV is a console rumor for 10 years. It has always been a disappointment. We always end up playing Crossy Road instead of Call of Duty. But the A17 Pro has hardware-accelerated ray tracing. This is the real deal. If Apple can actually convince developers to port games like Resident Evil or Assassin's Creed, and those games run natively on your TV without the box melting, the value proposition changes overnight. It stops being a $150 way to watch YouTube and starts being a competitor to the Nintendo Switch. I'm still skeptical about the games actually arriving. Developers have been burned by Apple before. But for the first time in history, the hardware is not the problem. But there's a boring upgrade coming that is actually more important than gaming. It's called Wi-Fi 7. Most people hear new Wi-Fi and think it just means faster download speeds. That is wrong. Unless you have gigabit fiber internet, your speed is already maxed out. Wi-Fi 7 is not about speed. It is about traffic control. If you live in an apartment building or a dense neighborhood, your airwaves are clogged. When you try to AirPlay a video or use your HomeKit lights, and there is a delay, that is congestion. Wi-Fi 7 opens up the 6 GHz band, which is like building a private highway for your data. If Apple wants this box to be the brain of your smart home, this is non-negotiable. It eliminates lag. It makes the device feel instant. It's the kind of upgrade you don't see on a spec sheet, but you feel it every time you press a button. Then there is the feature for the video nerds. AV1 Decoding. This is overdue. YouTube and Netflix have been pushing this new video format for years because it looks better and uses less data. Right now, your Apple TV has to use software to decode this. That is inefficient. It heats up the box. The new model will do this in hardware. This means crisp 4K streams, even if your internet connection is having a bad day. It is a future-proofing move. If you buy a streamer in 2026 without AV1 support, you're basically buying a paperweight. Apple is finally catching up here, and it's going to make a massive difference in picture quality for streaming services. Now, let's look at the strategy. Because Apple is a business and they want your money, the rumors suggest a split strategy. A lower-cost stick or base model around that magical $99 price point to fight off the cheap Amazon Fire Sticks, and a Pro model with the A17 chip and all the bells and whistles. This is the classic Apple ladder. They will lure you in with a cheap price, But then you'll realize the cheap one lacks an Ethernet port or has low storage, and you'll convince yourself to spend the extra $50 for the Pro model. It's psychological warfare, and it works every time. They need to break that $100 barrier to get market share, but they will make their profit on the upsell. We also have to address the elephant in the room. Apple Intelligence. The leaks claim deeper integration. Imagine saying, show me sci-fi movies from the last 5 years that are safe for kids. And it actually works. Currently, Siri struggles to set a timer. I'm incredibly skeptical about this. However, the A17 Pro has a dedicated neural engine that is significantly more powerful than anything currently in an Apple TV. If they can process these requests on the device rather than sending them to the cloud, it might actually be fast enough to be useful. But if it relies on the internet for every command, expect the same old spinning wheel of death. There's also a creepy rumor floating around about a camera. Not necessarily a built-in lens, because that would be a privacy nightmare and no one wants a camera staring at them in their living room, but deeper integration for FaceTime and Zoom. They want your TV to be a communication hub. Personally, I don't want to see my boss's face in 65 inches on my OLED screen. But Apple is going to market this heavily for families. It's a niche feature, but it aligns with their goal of making the TV the center of the home. So, here is the verdict. What do? If you have the 2022 Apple TV 4K, you're fine. Sit tight. Your device is still powerful enough. But if you're still using the old Apple TV HD or the first-generation 4K box, your device is on life support. The difference between what you have and this 2026 model will be shocking. The apps will open instantly. The stuttering will stop. The picture quality will improve. Apple is finally taking the living room seriously again because they realized they were losing it. They're throwing raw power at the problem. And for us, that's a good thing. The spring of 2026 is the target. Start saving your pennies now because this won't be just a streamer. It's going to be a powerhouse. Drop a comment if you think gaming on Apple TV is ever actually going to happen or if I'm dreaming. And subscribe for the next leak. Catch you later.